Hey, top of the morning to you people. I'm trying to find this thing here. Let's see. Hey, welcome. Thanks for being part of Roo Doodles Saturday morning, Roo Doodles Live. I'm Michael, grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on the show this morning. I was still clearing some clutter, some stuff, I learned a new word this week, chattel. Some chattel off of my desk. Did I bring up the book that has chattel in it? I wanted to share something with you. Rats, I gotta find the story. I promise I brought it up here. What did I do with the book? Oh, here it is. Yep, I got it. Okay, so it's a new word I found this morning. I'm not going to paint the word like I paint weird words sometimes. Word is chattel, at chattle, I think. Chattel. Chattel. I don't know. I'll look and see when I read the story. Glad you're here. I'll say hello to you in just a minute. I was ripping some paper down. I took this. Let me go to the picture. Give you an idea of what I'm doing. Notice my small palette is missing this morning, and I drug out the butcher pan. Boop. Hadn't even painted out of this in ages. This is just a piece of metal tray. They're called butcher trays. You can get these at Amazon.com if you want them. If you want to put a steak in there and let it air out on the an hour a pound is what will make your ribeye loosen up, and just with a little salt all over it, just good amount of salt. Just let that salt seep in there, break it down. It's going to taste like the filet that you wanted. Anyway, I'm going to paint out of that just a little bit today, I think. And I'm going to tell you what I'm doing here with this small piece of paper. I'm going to turn it so it makes sense to me. I'm just going to rip this. This is Kilimanjaro, 140 pound, original bright white. I love this paper. Here's why. It's 100% rag cotton, but I also know exactly how this paper is going to respond when I paint on it because I've painted on it so long. So there's a little clue to the reason that you try a lot of papers when you're just trying, and you might shift to a paper later down the road, and you might have a studio with a cabinet full of some papers to the feel. You like them. You like hot press, cold press, smooth, rough. You like to paint on grandma's blanket rough. I don't. You like canvas, scratchy, scrubby. I love this paper, okay? Yes, I've painted on Fabriano. I have Fabriano over there. I have Canson professional grade. I have just about every. In fact, I was supposed to get some paper this week and it didn't show up. Some friends were sending me paper to try, and they said, please try this paper and tell us what you think. And I'll go send it on down. I'll paint a rooster on it. This paper, I know how it responds, and I love the way that the paint that I use, which is American Journey paint, I love how it pops on the white, bright white, ultra original bright white. I just love that look. That's the style that fits me. So that's why I use it. So if you see me using that a lot, it's just because I've been painting with this since I started. This right here is the first watercolor paper I ever started on. Why? Fit in my bag very quickly. I knew I wasn't going to set up a big studio somewhere that had, all my art stuff. So I don't need that. I just needed a handful of pens and pencils, something to hold paint in. In that case, it happened to be my small Altoid box or my little silver box. Boop, there it is right there. And so that's what I carry, one of those with me at all times with a water brush. This is a Niji water brush with another small brush that looks like this. It's whoa, no! Did you break it? No, it just came that way. Is that cool? Let's see what the number is on it. I think it's a little number 4. So this is a little number 4 travel watercolor brush. It's made by American Journey. It's just a round. It's nylon bristle. Love keeping it in my shirt pocket or behind my ear or somewhere. Yes, I've lost a couple over the years. Anyway, so this is what I started on, so that's why I still love it. The point I was talking about is I know how this paper is going to respond. And what I'm doing now is I'm just ripping a couple pieces off here that are about 3 by something. Let's see. They're going to be 3 by, what is that? 3 by 4, 3 by, maybe 3 by 5, something like that. That's just kind of in half. This is 11, so that's probably going to be close. They don't have to be the same. Look, they're not even close to being the same. So what was he thinking when he did that? And then when I get near the end of this, I'll just rip off a piece here, make a bookmark out of that, and then I'll cut a couple 3 by 3s out of here and maybe split this one just in an odd, just in an odd. It's a nice little paper cutter. I don't even know who makes it. Westcott. It's just a cheap thing that I've had forever. But I don't have to go chop somewhere. I just slide the paper on it, and that's why I use it. Okay, let me move that over there. I know how man, what'd you watch the first part of the Rude Little Show? He's cutting paper. Whoa. That's about as exciting as watch paint dry. So the reason I do that is because this is what I carry in my little Buffalo Jackson leather. Ooh, there's one right there. There's a leather book right here. Boop, I put some under here. I know I'm going out today. Got a little meeting right here after this thing this morning. And those slide right in very nicely. They close. So I have myself some white paper, ultra white. Exactly. I know how it's going to respond out and about as the same as I do in the studio. A long way to go to get to that explanation, but I did it. Whew. Hey, top of the morning to you, Karen Binder. Thanks for being on the show. And Cindy Wiltermood, saw the picture of you in your art display somewhere and the paintings that you do. Good job. Keep knocking it out of the park. Laurie Bellucci, thank you for being on the show. Jason Nicholas, always good to talk to you, my friend. Blessings to you. Heather Kuhlman, Carol Todd Mundy, Kim Sheets. Happy soggy morning from West Virginia. Yeah, I saw the storm blew through here and it was heading up north your direction. Tamberly Marie, welcome. Deborah Lynn Tauber. Andrea, is it Andrea Nail? Nell. Jennifer Yates, welcome. Julie Walden. Walder, let me get that right. Chris Whitaker, thanks for being on the show. Always. Chris is always painting some whimsical little thing with her gnomes, but sometimes she'll just up and surprise you with something completely out of the blue and do a great job with it. Nancy Catlett, thanks for being on the show. Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, thank you for being here. Jean Anthalzer, Beverly Schmidt from Greenville, South Carolina. Jimma Jensen, Denise Albright, always from way out there in California. Gretchen Smith, hey, good morning. Hey, Gretchen, hey. Jacqueline Browse, good morning from you up in the Paul Bunyan country. Deborah Spangler, Raylene Culberson. Jumping in the glorious morning from Visalia. Is it Visalia, California? Never been there. Catherine Brousseau, Donacelle Barton. That's Donacelle Barton. I know her as the Rube Goldberg painter of all time. Man, I love your stuff. Sharon Kirk Clifton, storyteller that you are, welcome to the show. Lynn Swain Brown, happy to create today. Glad you're on here. Randall Taylor Craven, Karen Smith, Donna Bullman, Pat Lightbody, Rhonda DeHart from Faith, Karen Pikert, thanks for being on the show. Ann Westra, Linda Lawless, Elaine Barnett, Sharon Clark, Fern Skelly. Fern Skelly's on the show today. Deborah Spangler, Trish Brown. Good morning, Michael. That's from Pat Brooks, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 22 emojis. Just kidding. I didn't count them all. I just made that up. All right. Miss Carla, thanks for being on the show. Kyle Dixon from the Funny Farm. Kyle, it would take me 10 minutes to actually type out the Funny Farm with all the capitals that you do. It's like, it's a fun arm is what I see there. It's really funny. Has been with me for 10 years of marriage today. Oh, look at that. 10 years today. Brother, I got socks older than that and I got them on. So I'm so glad for your 10-year anniversary today. Paper cutter, need one. Recommendations? Laura Logan? No. If you're going to, I just cut small paper, so I didn't give you a recommendation. But I've had this little thing now for about 8 years. And I bought it for like 50% off at Michael's or somewhere. It's a little razor cutter. Most of the time I just cut with this. This is my paper cutter right here if y'all want to see it. And I paid a lot of money for this one, by the way. It's a CJRB. It's a new company that put out this pocket knife with this bowling ball handle. I gave my boys one of these for Christmas. And so, well, come on. I give them a knife every year since they were 8 for Christmas. And so a utilitarian knife. This is a knife that they actually would use around it. And, but I cut paper with this knife, and man, it really does cut well. I mean, if I just drag this little end across here just like this, Boom. This is just beautifully cut. Can you see that? So this is really a good paper cutter, and I keep it on my desk for that. I've never carried that knife outside the house since I've had it Christmas. All right, here we go. Let's paint something. So Laura, I'm not good help unless you want a big old thing like we used to carry in schools. They would take us and think, keep your hands back there, a wire protector, and you had to go sheek with that big knife blade. I like something you can change the blade in. A box cutter works great if you've got a straight edge table like you cut mats, a mat cutter. Okay. And Jason, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I do tear my paper too. Keep a straight edge ruler there. That's always a good way to fold it one time, lay a straight edge on it, and just give it a rip. That works really well. I've also been known to just, I never cut my paper after I paint something, because if I get in a rush, I'll rip up the painting. I'm just got to be careful there. All right, let's, you guys have tons of ideas on that, so I'm going to let you just run with it as you guys do. And Jacqueline says she's got an antique wooden paper cutter in her school. So there you go. That's the ones that I remember growing up. And the thing weighed 30 pounds. You'd have to go to the principal office and you carry it back like this and set it on the table. And then you go, shriek. It had that sound of that blade going down that metal edge. I'm thinking oil would be good. So why do I use all this little paper? That's what I should get to this morning. Let me put on some music and I'll tell you. Here's why I do this. This paper is so good, and so I enjoy art all the time. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love to look at it. I love to do it. I love to be a part of it. I love to talk to artists. I love to think like an artist. You all know that's what my whole show is about. That's what the whole Patreon show is about. Think like an artist. Thank you all for who support me in that and come on monthly to see that show, but also the other Tuesdays as we do Good News Rue sketching. I wanted to get better at sketching. I did not grow up with the gift of art. I trained myself, and that sounds very arrogant, but I have been trained by just over and over and over repetition. That's why I say stay behind the mule. If you want to learn how to plow, put your hands to the plow and don't look back. And that's the thing. Just keep going. I'm going to do this. You're going to do it if you love it. If you don't love it and you realize that you're only painting once a month, then you really haven't fallen in love with it yet. You're just fascinated by art and what it is and what it does. And maybe you have another way to do that. Art is not all just painting, please. Baking a scone is art. I promised someone I'd send them a recipe this week. I'm just telling you right now, Carol made a cheesecake over the weekend that will just knock your socks off. In fact, you just might as well eat it barefoot. And so it's just one of those things that you just go, whose recipe is this? And I asked, and she said, it's this person, and this person, this person, and then my aunt so-and-so was here, and then I did this on my own thinking it would be good. And it's just off the chain. So the point is that that's art to me. As much as my blacksmithing is, as much as writing poetry or writing songs. I was watching a piece last night on Dolly Parton because I grew up near Sevierville, Tennessee. And so everybody knows of Dolly and loves Dolly and what she's done with books and all. She's written over 3,000 songs in her life. And the only other person I know that's written 3,000 songs was probably Red Skelton. He wrote a song every day. He was like Jack Benny. Jack Benny wrote a love letter to his wife every day and brought her a red rose every day. Are you kidding me? Do you know that when he died, he left in his will the provision for someone to deliver a rose to her every day until her death? Come on, what a story is that? You want a Mother's Day story? That'll rock your world. So why do I use these small pieces of paper? Here it is. I love sitting down at places where I take in my little book and I open it up and I take in my little palette and the one with Altoids on it, which still people just now want to see it. Hey, do you have your paint with you? I want to show my friend. And I'll go, sure. So I'll take it out of my pocket and I'll say, here it is, here. And usually it's in my pocket. Let's see if it is right now. Oh, there it is. See? So I was at a gallery the other night and I took a lady a birthday card and she says, seriously, my friend wants to see how you painted that. And I said, well, I painted it. Would you like an Altoid? She said, oh, no, thank you. Do I need one? I said, no, ma'am. I just wondered if you wanted one like this. And I held it out and she said, oh, those are your paint? And I said, well, yes, ma'am. I had to give you I had to paint your business card that I just handed you. And she goes, well, so let me ask you a question. Do you have a little brush? And I go, you mean like this one? And she goes, are you serious? And I go, am I serious? What kind of question is that? And so I also reached in my pocket and had a little brush that comes apart, goes together, and it's about this long anyway. It's silver. And she goes, who are you? And I said, I'm a guy that loves art. She said, so you're an artist? And I went, I was trying to get her to tee up the line for me. And I said, no, but I think like one. And she goes, oh, no, you're more than that. I said, no, I like to think like one. I like to think like one in everything. And by the way, I really didn't like any of the art I saw in the gallery. So I just found myself a little place to sit down while we visited with some friends and painted. And so I painted really quick things. And so I have more fun doing that than I do painting a big art. And you know, in the book, Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, which Pat Brooks on the show illustrated so well, there is a little story in here right off the bat that says, I think it's one of the first ones in the book after meal time here, is start small and simple. And there's also a thing in here about painting quickly. And you say, well, you shouldn't rush art. But here's the thing. Sometimes the quick sketches that I do teach me about muscle movements so that later I'm either, if I'm journaling, I can capture something quick with a pencil, but I can also go back and change that, and I can learn from that what I did right and what I did wrong, instead of me just taking forever to say, okay, I've got to get a piece of something sketched. And so what I'll do lots of times is I'll just simply sketch. This paper is the fly leaves that comes in the in this book here, in the Kilimanjaro book. In between each 140-pound piece of paper, there's a little fly leaf in here. So once I've cleaned that out and I have a clean one, I'll go to this next page. I'll rip this one out. I think there may be two here anyway. Yep, here's another one. So here's one I just ripped out. I love the quick sketch on this paper. And I'll show you something I did yesterday because I was out arguing with the yard guy, you know, the guy who cuts our grass. We were out having an argument. He wanted to cut it higher. He wanted to cut it lower. He wanted to cut it faster. He wanted to cut it slower. I wanted it cut on the bias, on the diagonal, so that when you drive down the street, you see the lines as they kind of come into the house like this, and not just if you go, oh, all the lines are straight going into the house. The house is straight on the lot, so I want the lawn lines to be leading into that in a perspective. And so we argue about that for a while. Oh, by the way, did I tell you I cut my own grass? So I'm having this argument with myself, thinking, am I going to walk more steps cutting it square, or am I going to walk less steps cutting it on the bias? And so I'm the guy who cuts the grass. So here's my sketch after I cut the grass yesterday. So I just wanted to set you up there for a little bit on that. So this is me after I cut the grass yesterday. So I came in and I saw this little sketch and I thought, there's my hair. And so this is me right here. So So I did this little sketch and I thought, that's me laying on the ground outside. Here's the grass. Here's the weed eater here. You know, it's got the little handle that comes up. It's like this, and a little bow handle on it like that, and the string trimmer. And so finally, you know, I got my grass cut, and I cut it in a white shirt because the neighbors go, look, I wear white shirts all the time. It's just like I don't have to think about when I want to get out of my closet. So I love it. And so I did a couple of these sketches. I'll show you. That's one I just rushed. Here's one I took. Here's the first one I did right here. There it is right there. And it says, phew, got the grass cut just as the rain started so it can grow and I can cut it again, then grow, then I can cut it again, then what the heck? And so that's what I did yesterday. So that taught me a lot about my quick sketch of people. And because I never in my life before the past 2 years thought about drawing people. But now, since I started Good News Rue, when I was sketching through the Bible and I needed some characters, I've started drawing people, and I've started drawing these little people, some with beards and some with robes and some, like this. And I'm thinking, wow, you sketched that person and it didn't take you too long at all. And so there's that person. Here's another little person here. And so these are very architectural people. Jason's on the show today. He can tell you that sometimes you just have to draw these little bodies like carrots. We talk about Bob Burgess all the time. And you just have to draw these. Here's a guy that's fishing, and he's standing at the ocean. And so you go, well, that doesn't look like a guy fishing. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. And so the interesting thing is the mind will help other people see it too. So these quick sketches for me have been really fun to do. Doing them on this paper when I sit down to have a bite at a restaurant or something are really fun. So for instance, if I took this little pear-shaped head like this and then went down like this, you see if you know where I'm going with this, and then came in here and went out to here and then out to here, and then maybe this comes down like this. You go, oh my gosh, did he just, in that length of time, just sketch a little hummingbird? Let me get closer on this so you can see what happened. Take a look at this. Let me just come in just a tad closer and see if I can get a focus right here. I hope I can. Let me just focus on the end of my pen here. I'm going to train this camera in just a little quicker. Yeah, maybe, I think you can see that there. It's going to be a little fuzzy because I'm really coming in on a small object. But I think you can see sort of where this is going. So how long did this take me to do? Oh, about 10 seconds. And so what if I just take my little brush here? Here, wait, I'll take this pan. Let's close this up. I'll just paint out of this. Let me wake these colors up a little bit. Wake up! I like it that there are kids on the show that are yelling wake up to their paint. I just think I'm just wetting these just a tiny bit. I don't want to get them too loose and runny in this tray. I just want them glistening a little bit, and I'll just grab a little brush here, slide over here. Let's see. Man, that's a big old thing when you have it out in the color, isn't it? So look at the size of this thing. So it's really only about 12 by 8, something like that. Let's see. Let's grab a little bit of, let's put a little purple under there before we lose that. So there's just a little purple down there. Little piece here. I need some music, don't I? I should be painting this too. I like that piece of music. I opened the show with it this morning. Let me go for a little green up here on this, and a little green in the wings, and then a little green here. Maybe just a touch of red right coming in there like that. And so what happens is I love doing these because people don't expect a little piece of art to come out of something this small. And it kind of makes me laugh. It kind of makes me go, you know what? People don't understand really what art is. Even when they view it, they don't. They walked through a gallery the other night and they're like, oh, this is so, and I'm going like, confusing? I'm not arrogant when I'm there. I'm just arrogant on the show because me and the yard guy argued yesterday. The yard guy. All right. I thought that was pretty funny when I thought of it this morning. And so a little bit of splatter here. And you know what this is? You know what's missing here is, where's my pen? You know what's missing here is what's he coming in for? Maybe a little lily. You know, a little orange cow lily. Is that what they're called? I don't really know. I don't even know the colors of the paints that I'm using. I think this is I know this is pumpkin orange, and so there's a little orange lily coming in, and then I come in here and get some green and just sort of blow that out, and then just maybe some of this green, just splatter it down here like this, kind of come in here and just mess up this so it looks like he's flying into a bush or something. I don't know. And so if that's a little too much red, I can come in here and capture some of this, and but you know, hummingbirds they can be pretty beautiful. So, you can't even see what I'm doing, can you? I moved it, sorry. All right, so there's this little hummingbird, and that gives you an idea of why I love to carry this paper around. I think this is, of course it's my opinion, I'm the one that's talking. This seems to me a good way to help me train my skills instead of breaking out that big piece of paper and worrying about whether everything's going to be in the right place and the scale up. So this helps me. And if I were going to paint a larger one of these, this would help me scale it out. I think there's way too much red in here. So if I press down that piece of paper on there, it's going to turn him more to purple. Ooh, wow. And see, I could come in here You know what would look great in here is a little T coming underneath these wings right here. Just dip my brush in my T a little bit and bring out some flash up here, just where there's a little, like the air is being moved by that, and then just bounce the rest of that T in there for just a little bit of a splatter. I keep losing my pen I'm sketching with. It's scooting under that thing. So I could come in here with some leaves and some sprouts coming up, and maybe just some little more of who knows what. You know, nobody knows what flowers look like anyway, unless you're an ornamental horticulturist landscape design person, which my son was, and he can still tell you all the names. And Carol can tell you all. We go to the nursery last week, and it was like, how do you know what this is without even looking at the tag? She says, how do you know what you paint with? And I said, see, you're wrong. I don't even know what color that was. I know that's royal amethyst right there. But there's a little hummingbird for you. Take a look. Ta-da! Okay, so that's why I love this little paper so much. And get the point. There's a long way. I went by Jerusalem to give you this point. But the point is this. Don't feel bad about cutting your larger watercolor paper up into smaller pieces and carry those with you in your bug out bag. Here's why. Your consistency is going to get better. There is a tip for you today, right there. Boom. All right. So I love doing that. So now if I do a little rooster and I put him on there, I know exactly how my paint is going to respond and what he's going to look like as I get him finished. And so I'll bring his leg down here. And so when I sat at the table the other day, the gentleman, the young man who waited on us, he came over and he said, welcome. Have you eaten with us before? I said, yes, sir. Love to sit outside here. We were at a little restaurant. And he said, my name is Isaiah. And I went, well, do you have any prophecy about what I should eat? Because I'm a little undecided. And he looked at me so funny. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I was just assuming you would know your biblical reference name. And he said, oh, no, I do. And so we laughed a little bit, and great young man. And so I said, he said, no, there is something I would know. It would be Isaiah 51:10. And I said, oh, okay. Oh, okay. And he said, I said, did somebody give you that verse? He said, no, I found it. And I said, all right, that's great. And so I didn't know how to tell him that he quoted it. He misquoted it. And so I was trying to be sensitive. And so I decided to paint him a little rooster like so. And then I used his quote, but I remarked it at 41:10. And when he came back, he said, I think I told you wrong. It's supposed to be 41:10 about not being afraid. And I said, I got you. It's here. And he went, wow, thank you. And I gave him this, and he was like so excited. And so he said, what? You carry paint with you? And I go, sure, you don't? He goes, no, why would I? And I go, well, do you think like an artist? And he goes, no. And I said, sure you do. You just work in the food service industry. You got to always think like an artist. And so anyway, so you see what happens when I carry those little pieces of paper out and I get to sit down with some folks. It helps me connect. Jason and I were passing a comment back and forth through the mail yesterday about connecting with people and how important it is. You know, now you can do that. You can actually get out and survive. And of course, Carol and I have been getting out forever. We're going like, we're here on the earth a short time, so we might as well just get out now. And so we've been being out for a while. But it's really fun to just kind of mix it up in the community a little bit and always be an interesting person. You know what? Please do. Just be interesting. And it's not, you don't have to do it in an arrogant way. You can be interesting in a way that's just really fun. And especially when you do something, you know, I don't go in and say, hey, I'm a great artist. I want to paint for you. I say, when they ask me if I'm an artist, I tell them I think like an artist, but I do go in sometimes and I'll paint a little something and I'll hand it to them. And this is one of my favorite ones to paint always, because I paint this in the front of my book when I sell my Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow book, and I paint it with a paintbrush. And then I always put I think I just dipped that. No. You know what? I don't see any turquoise in this pan. Look at that. Terry Tardy, if you're on the show, I apologize. Here, I bet I have something right here. Look at that. There it is right there. I always do this brush in turquoise. And that is not because turquoise is not my favorite color. I do it because it's my wife's favorite color. And so she has this little piece of teaching me about art and taking me to art. So she's sort of in each piece. And there's another little small painting today just done for you. Just simple like that. I sold two yesterday on a little, about this size, on an auction. I think for what, $10 or maybe they went for $30. I don't remember what they were. I think they started at $8.57. My point is that I don't need them just piling up on my desk. I'd rather share them with people. And so when you get a gift for $7 or $8, it's an original art painting, and you give it away to somebody, it helps me, it helps your friends. And so that's kind of why I do that. I don't know. This is a fun little painting here. I like it. I'm going to throw those down here in the floor. Throw them or set them. I want to set those in the floor. I got to read you a story about stuff. And so let me just check up with you a little bit here. My students would have a few words to find interesting for me. I'm sure they would. Linda Lawless looked it up. Yes, 5110 was about drying up the sea. And I said, I don't think that's, unless you're going to serve me some dry wine, I don't think that's the verse. But later I said, it's do not fear. And it's 4110. He goes, I think I misquoted you. And I said, no, you didn't. You quoted correctly. You just used the wrong reference, man. Isaiah, you're rocking. And so it really made him feel better. And I gave him the little painting, and I put 4110 on there, do not fear. And so, and that's not that I'm that smart. I just recall that one. All right. Let me read you a story that I shared with some friends this week. And you're reading a story. Is Rue going to read a story? What's the matter with this guy? Sharon Fritz Norman Morbus, thanks for being on the show. You're getting very adept at multitasking. All your tools you use, computer, multi-camera. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. And sometimes, last week doing this show, had a camera that failed. And unfortunately, it's still laying right here. It's one of my very nice Canon cameras, and big old heavy rascal that I've had for a long time. And obviously I've had it for too long, but it looks like the motherboard has failed. And so it's not a cheap thing to solve. So I'm going to have to solve that. Got a lot of stuff to solve in my life today. I'm leaving here. My truck has decided not to make the 250,000 miles. So at 247,160 miles, it has said, I shan't roll no more. I'm a done. And so I'm on my way to look at another vehicle today. I bought that truck new in 2004. And it has been good. You want to talk about biblical reference? I say it's been like the Israelite in the desert. The leather hasn't even worn out on its shoes. It's been so good. So I've been blessed. It's just time I got to go bite the bullet and make a truck payment. Well, a car payment. Hey, I want to share this with you because I think it's fun. Mark Langston's on the show. It's morning in the mountains. No kidding, brother. How you doing? Great musician friend of mine on the show this morning. Just saw your name. So I'm reading in this book, and I saw this essay about simplicity. And so you're always, look, what I just showed you this morning is about simplicity, right? Think about it. I just said take a small piece of paper, carry it with you, make it the same paper that you paint on normally. These aren't rules. These are just suggestions. But they work for me. When I use a little piece of paper that's the same paper that I paint on, most of the time, 85 to 90%, this Kilimanjaro Bright White 140-pound cold press. If you don't like that paper, that's fine. You find the paper you love. I've been doing this long enough now to know what I really love. I love how my paint works on this. So I'll cut these down so I have it in the same place. So I know exactly when I paint something how that paint is going to roll, how it's going to stop, how long it's going to stay active till I can brush in it, how long before I can paint over it, how long before I can dip the fountain pen in it and not mess up the end. Those are all things that I take in consideration. So what happens is you have this area that's just covered in stuff. I mean, it's just covered in stuff. And so my garage is at the point where yesterday I said, Carol, next week is the week that I will figure out how to, you thought I was going to say clean out my garage. No, how to walk through it. Because right now you can't. It looks like a corn maze. Okay, but you have to. It looks like one of those movies where you to get to the great priceless treasure, you've got to do the dance over all the laser beams and the pieces of saw blades and battery drills and screw boxes. And so you got to be careful. It's a booby trap at every moment. And so it's time to go through there. And so in my toolbox, of course, you saw my toolbox in the video that said, uh, you saw the toolbox that said stuff, and then the next drawer said more stuff, and the one said other stuff, and then one said stuff that didn't go with that other stuff, and then just miscellaneous stuff. And that's what my toolbox is still ordered. I read this yesterday, and I want to share it with you. Here it is right here. Every morning, I'll tell you who. Maybe you can see it. I don't think you can. But every morning when I left for work, I would take something in my hand, and I would walk with it. Let's see. Let me just go grab something here. Yeah, here's one right here. Okay. Every morning when I left for work, I would take something in my hand and I would walk off with it for a deposit in the big municipal wire trash basket at the corner of 3rd, on the theory that the physical act of disposal was the real key to the problem. So this guy's leaving for work every morning, and he's carrying something with him, just a small something. He gets to the corner of 3rd, and he drops something in the trash basket there on the corner before he probably gets on the bus to head on down. My wife, a strategist, knew better and began quietly mobilizing the forces that would eventually put our goods to rout. So she started just setting things aside, knowing that he's grabbing something every day. She's watching what he's doing, thinking, this is a pretty good move, okay? My wife asks me all the time, do you ever throw things away? And I'm thinking, that's a rhetorical question. You know the answer before you ask me. You know I don't ever throw anything away. Well, paper trash. I don't throw anything away. I just looked over at my paper trash can in here. A man could walk away for 1,000 mornings carrying something with him to the corner, and there would still be a home full of stuff. It is not possible to keep abreast of the normal tides of acquisition. A home is like a reservoir equipped with a check valve. The valve permits influx but prevents outflow. Acquisition goes on day and night, smoothly, subtly, imperceptibly. I have no sharp taste for acquiring things. Like, I don't really need anything. I don't really go shopping for things, but I just acquire all this stuff. So it's not necessary to desire things in order to acquire them. Thank you, sir. But it is not necessary. But goods and chattels, and there's my word, chattels, and I didn't know this word. I looked it up. So don't look it up now. Listen to the rest of the story. Then go look it up. Goods and chattels seek a man out. They find him even though his guard is up. Books and oddities arrive in the mail. Okay, some of you are guilty of this. I had nothing on my desk, and then one day I had these cards arrive and a small box arrive, and people sent me stuff. Someone sent me things. They said, hey, I bet Rue would like this. And some of you were of pure heart and said, he's going to love this because, well, and I need to get rid of it. And some of you were going like, oh, I bought 2 of these, one for me, one for him. Somebody probably sent me this. It's a little rooster that has plastic stems on it that sits in the middle of a cake, maybe, or a chicken pot pie or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's not that I'm not grateful, but it's still laying here on its side because I really didn't know what to do with it. So it becomes a piece of chattel. And so it's hard to tell you this story and sound like I'm not being complaining, but it just caught my heart yesterday and made me walk in and say, next week, I'm going to be able to walk through my garage. So, gifts arrive on anniversaries and fete days. That's Fete days. Veterans send ballpoint pens and banks sends memo books. And if you happen to be a writer, readers send whatever may be cluttering up their own lives. That line made me laugh. I had a man once who sent me a chip of wood that showed marks of a beaver's teeth. Okay, so look at this. So I've had this on my desk for over 10 years, and you're going like, you are a crazy person. What is it? It's a little C-clamp. And so the rhyme that came to me, and then I found this little pack that had 5 little chickens in it. And so I clamped this chicken in this clamp and said, this reminds me of the song my mother taught me when I was a child. If you're happy and you know it, clamp your hens. Nobody else may find that funny, but every time I see this, I laugh. And so it's that sort of thing that just makes me crack up. And I have it on my desk. Why is this on my desk? It's in the way. It's up here with this little book. It's up here with this pin from the 43rd Annual Folklore Embellishing Watermelon Wrestling Seed Spit and Cedar Whittling Contest, and how he came in third. There's a blacksmith hook that doesn't even have a hole in it to hang it on the wall. A hook is supposed to hang on the wall so I can hang my coat on it. It's just lying there. It's up there next to a magnifying glass that I really kind of love. It looks like a paper disc. It's up there next to a banjo pick and a knight and a small, now there is something someone sent me that's still up here. It's a small anvil. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on. Here's an idea of what I'm talking about. This safety pin I've had since I was in high school. This is an eraser. See, it's an eraser that's shaped like an ear. I'm thinking, what do I need this stuff for? I had a man once who sent me a chip of wood that showed the marks of a beaver's teeth. Someone dies and a little trickle of indestructible keepsakes appear. Indestructible keepsakes. And they begin to swell the flood, and the steady influx is not counterbalanced by any comparable outgo. Under ordinary circumstances, the only stuff that leaves a home is paper trash and garbage. Everything else stays on and digs in. This is from the great essayist and the great writer E.B. White. And so I hope you enjoyed that. I've read this 3 times. I've shared it with several people this week, starting a couple days ago. I think yesterday. I think I shared it 3 or 4 times. I sent it out this morning. It just makes me laugh. And what I'm going to do right now is, you would think, why don't you just take that over and put it in a trash can? No, that's good stuff. In fact, here's another leaf up there that I forged. There's one right there. So they're all on a little, and by the way, they're not even on a shelf. They're sitting on the top of a champagne box, which is I use to hold my books. So my point is that I wanted to share that with you today. Those of you who know flotsam and jetsam, those are 2 of my favorite words in the English language, by the way. And it is so hard to know the ship's going down and you're still holding on to flotsam and jetsam. Those are great words. Pat, I saw you put them in there. Did Jason use those? What's the name of the book? Clamp your hands. Teresa Miller she says, I'll never sing that song again the same way. If you're happy and you know it, clamp your hands. That's 3D humor to me right there. Okay, so I love it. And so that's why I do some of it. So thank y'all for laughing with me today and being an artist. Look, an art is not all about painting, but I'm going to paint a rooster for you because it's 20 till 10. You ain't right, June Jones says. June Jones, that's why this show starts at 8:57. And people ask me that all the time. They ask me, could I see your small container of paints? Yes. They don't want to see my work. They want to say, you know what people want to ask me? Hey, could you show us your watercolor paint? Sure. They don't say, hey, can you show us something you painted? We just want to see your paint. The fact that you carry it around like this. The other thing is, why does your show start at 8:57 in the mornings? Is that number, is that a magical number in your life? Is it a verse? Is it a foundational number? Is there something that happened very important at 8:57? And I say, no. It's just 3 minutes before 9 and I'm not normal. Who would want to start at 9? So I roll the tape at 8:55 and come on live at 8:57. Just because it's 3 minutes before 9. I'm just not wired right. And I love that. I love that God's wired me to think like an artist. And that's why I push on this show. I love that you guys show up and you laugh and you smile and you go, he's not making fun of us. He's making fun of himself. And so I appreciate that. So let's do a rooster here because I have to paint one. I collect this paper. Every pad of the paint book comes with a piece of 300-pound paper in the front, and I never throw that away. And then about once a year, I use a piece of it, and it takes a little more used to getting to. It takes a little more time to get used to, but it's great. It's great paper. All right, so this is 140-pound Kilimanjaro. It says 300 GSM. Don't be fooled by that. It's 140-pound. That's just those Brits. You know what they do. Those of you, thanks, Ruth, and all you people are over there in Ireland and England and the folks that join our show from London. Okay. I need to keep everything for my crafts. My mom would always say, if I have to dust it, I don't want it. I love that. And I do cherish everything that I get, Chris. That is the tough. The tough one is, that's the great thing, because I still have this because I go, shoot, that person mailed this to me and I love it. I want to keep it. And then yet I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Did they just give it to me because they wanted to get rid of it? Or no, and I know that's not true in this case because you guys are so good-hearted. But I love it. What happens is that you go, and I'm the same. I'll send you some stuff sometimes and they're still trying to be mailed, the pins that I'm giving away to the Patreon people for sure, but I haven't gotten them yet. And here's a letter opener that I made. Look, why do I have that here? Well, because I don't even get letters that open anymore. Everything's email today, but I need a letter opener. I need one that was handmade. And I still collect anvils and cannons, and I've started to send those to my children who are going like, Dad, why'd you send us this? And I go, it's chattel. Chattel. It's not nailed down. It's coming to you. All right. Let's see. I love it. Curbside shopping. We've all been there. Hey, the book is it's a devotional book that I read from time to time. It's called Disciplines for the Inner Life. It's by Bob Benson and Michael Benson. Somebody asked. I'm sorry, I skipped right over that. What's the book? Who said that? What is the book? Oh, Linda Lawless said, what's the name of the book? It's out of print. I think you won't find a leather copy like I'm holding. The book was, I've had this book since 1985. Yep, there it is right there, 1985. Look at that before I even looked. Benson was a songwriter. He lived in Nashville, was a speaker. Anyway, so this is really a devotional book that's broken down into old meditations and hymns and thoughts and written prayers. It's kind of a fun thing, but he also just pulls from writers. It's very rich in its concept. What I was reading yesterday was on simplicity, and so it's just got some good essays on simplicity. And he happened to pull that from E.B. White. He also loved humor, and so I'm sure that's why he pulled that. So, or you could have my book taking up clutter on your desk, noodle doodle fiddle piddle. And because there's certain things in here about why you have to get behind the mule or start small or not taking yourself so serious. And what if you did? What if you just cut up some paper and went out to a coffee shop and sat there for a few hours and painted little hummingbirds for people? What if you did? What would happen if you did? I bet you'd wind up giving some away. Chris Whitaker had a great story about that the other day where a little girl gave her the painting. And I've had that happen several times. When I give a child a painting, they go, well, I want to give you one back. And that is the sweetest thing. And then I'm thinking, oh, shoot, I was taking my stuff and giving it to her. Now she's going to give me something back. So I'm going to have to give something else back to get rid of that piece. But I don't think that. But all right, here we go. I'm using a Pentel. No, I'm not. I'm using a Pilot. Kat Pedroni, thanks for being on the show. Debbie Bennett, Martha Palmer from Columbia, Missouri. I laugh every live. Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, thank you for laughing. Guitar and banjo picks clamp on tight, never leave until you need one. Boy, there's some truth in that. Did you see? And by the way, Mark, that pick is up there by itself. So I'm thinking, it's not even where my other banjo picks are. What's it doing up there? I don't know. And so that always makes me laugh. Sometimes Flotsam and Jetsam can save your life. Maybe. But if you remember, they've been thrown off the ship already. So that is true. So if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. My husband says, why are you saving that? I say, I thought I might need it. As always, wired right like a toaster that untoasts my bread. There you go. Real museum of that. My grandkids still think my wife owns and runs a museum. E.B. White book. No, it's not an E.B. White book. It's just an essay by E.B. White in another book. So that's how I found it. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And yes, I know that that is a Da Vinci quote, and it is also one of my favorites. Love it. Don't you love it? All right, here we go. I'm using the Kakuna Pilot. I still love this pen. And I claimed the other day, just like that old line in the Last of the Mohegans, I will find you. I haven't found my second one of these, and it'll show up though somewhere in a bag or in a pocket or in a canyon, in a cavern, excavating for mine. Let's see. So what am I going to paint now? I've been painting little paintings so long. Joan Torres says, I got an art piece of yours years ago. Yeah, you got to decide what to do with it. Should I keep this or pass it on? I love that. All right, so here we go. I haven't painted this rooster in an age, a long age. So I thought I'd paint him right now. It just came to mind because I thought about my my argument yesterday with the guy that cuts my grass, me. Yeah, you know, it's fun when you have your own conversation with your own self about how you should cut the grass, and you're thinking, did that really just happen? I need to turn on my earphones here and play some music. And I went out the reason that this whole argument started is because I went out to cut my grass, and I put the batteries in my lawnmower. Yes, I have one of those. And so I didn't know I was going to love it as much. I started doing commercials for a tool called Worx, W-O-R-X, and they sent me one of their battery-powered lawnmowers, and I thought, no way, this is not going to happen. I mean, come on. I'm a blacksmith. I love tools. I love mechanical wizardry of things running and thumping and making noise. And man, I put the 2 batteries in this lawnmower and I cut my grass the first time. And I'm thinking, I didn't even hear it running over some music I was playing. I'm going like, I like this thing. So that's been about 8 years ago. And I did some commercials for it. And so 2 of the batteries, I have 4 batteries, 2 at one run at one time. And 2 of the batteries are running down. But I love this thing. So I will own another one. And I thought, you know, because really most of my time before then was spent not cutting the grass, but just getting the lawnmower to run and cranking it and my arm feeling tired. And then also trying to get it to idle right. And when I'd stop it, cut off, and it wouldn't start again. And then so mixing gas and oil and all that. So I don't miss those days. Anyway, so that was a great company. I did a lot of commercials for them for quite a few years, and still good friends with all of them. I don't do work for them anymore because after COVID, they changed a lot of how they do their social media. But I was doing a lot of social media for them, and it was really fun. They would send tools would show up at my door, and I'm telling you, it would just be so much fun to open the boxes online and find out what I had and make something. And I love tools. So I got a toolbox that says stuff, 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 and stuff. It really does. If you ever visit, you can come see it. It's there. All right, so just a little bit of ink. Don't you love it when you throw a Lamy pen in there and just put it on this paper? Remember, this is that same Kilimanjaro 140 pound. Look at that. That's just pen. That's the Lamy with the Lamy ink, black, and that's as good as it gets right there. It doesn't You don't have more fun than that. I'm just using this, shucks. I'm just using this pan today because I had some colors in there that look like they need to be awakened. They've been sitting in there for months. And I've got some ultramarine blue up here. And I'm using a bamboo brush. I also love this pan because it allows me to lay my brushes down on their side, something like this, and roll it in the paint. And that's a fun thing to do with when you're working with bamboo brushes. This is a Yasutoma brush. I know Karen was online yesterday at Yasutoma making origami, and I almost posted in. Remember me? I'm the guy that can't fold his T-shirts, which is true because I don't wear T-shirts. I cut the grass in a white shirt. They're a bunch of old shirts. It's not like I'm some rich guy who wants to go out and do that. I just have fun doing it. I think the neighbors come by and they go, "Oh my gosh, why is that guy cutting his grass? He's dressed up." I haven't done it in a tie yet, but maybe I'll start doing that, just putting on a tie and cutting my grass. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love to laugh. Life is too short, people. If you don't laugh today, then for heaven's sakes, what's the matter with you? And even when you're going through the travails and the tough stuff of life, still find something to just lighten up your sense of humor a little bit and get some oxygen in your blood. Can you do that? You know, that would be awesome. Sharon Duke, thank you for the nice note. Yeah, Chris Whitaker, that's true. You know, you come from a big family, depression, parents threw nothing away. Oh, my wife's mom would save aluminum foil and fold it back up and put it in the drawer. You never threw anything away. And then now we find that our kids, one day, it's just in the last few years, Carol, before one of the holidays, put a bunch of stuff on our kitchen table and said to the kids, "Hey, if any of you want any of this stuff, take it." And I think one thing like this, we're declutterfying. We don't care for that stuff. And so now we're thinking, you know, this pine hutch that is a primitive piece that really was made in 1800 that's over here in my office. Nobody wants it anymore. And the walnut hand tool corner cupboard that has 200 dishes in it downstairs, the kids go, I don't care for that. But there are a couple primitive pieces that'll go out of here. But this is a barley pub, you know. So you start looking around and you go, well, no wonder they think it's a museum compared to some of the stuff that they're living with and that the kids want to live with today. It is kind of museum quality stuff. So here's what I'm doing. I'm just sort of mixing all my colors right here, just because they're in this lovely tray. And then I need some French gray. That's what I need. I need to roll my brush around in some French gray and just bring that in and let it dance in here like this. And I'm just going to let this just be a really airy little rooster. When I mean airy, you know exactly what I mean. Just a little airy. Just kind of a lot of holidays, a lot of space in there. Some of you are still, your paintings look like they could lighten up just a little bit and breathe. Do that sometimes with just a little bit of air, a little bit. This is where this brush kind of helps me. It's so feathery on the end that if I just brush in there, it leaves a lot of space, and I kind of like that. I do need some, I don't see any black up here. There's some brown. I'll throw a little piece of brown underneath here. And there's a color right here that's called blue stone. I used this color when I was up in Maine. Sketching, because a lot of the rocks look like, and the water looks like it's this color. I really do care for it. I think it's a Cheap Joe's paint, blue stone. I'm sure it is, American Journey. A little bit of green down here, two greens. I'm going to take a little bit of a sap green, a little bit of an olive green, and sort of mix those together with a little touch of yellow right there. This is what I love about this pan and this brush. See right here? I can just come in here and I can go here, get a little here. You don't see me mix much in a palette pan, but if I've got this open pan, this is a good way to do it. And add a little bit of green in here. Just look at the grass that you get with this this brush by just literally letting it dance a little bit here, just like so. This is cool. This is one of the paintings that I started doing when I first started sketching ruse completely. And it's my mom would say this all the time to my brother. She'd say, son, you would argue with the fence post and maybe win. And so this is going out to argue with the fence post. And so that's what this rooster's going to be. All right, so I'm going to put M on there for Michael and 22. And then I'm going to put I think I'm going to put the caption right there, preparing to argue with the fence post. And there he is. He's a little brushled up. Is that the word? No. Bristled is probably the word I was looking for. But I'm just going to kind of throw some of this up here so he's got a little bit of an anger, little eyebrow there that gives him just a little hint of a dadgummit, you've laughed so much this morning that you frustrated me because you know it ain't that funny. And so I'm going to put a little bit here. So he's got a little bit of darkness in his, I'm kind of liking this. What am I doing here? Well, I got a little water in this pen, so I'm just going down here on this piece of paper to dry it out some. All right, so there he is right there. That's a cool, I like the blue. I like this purple that's come in there. That makes that a fun rooster. What I might do here is, let's just really change this painting. Just because somebody's going to say, come on, make the painting a little different. I'm going to dip in my tea here and just put a cup ring on here. Like this. Splash it with some tea. I'm going to drink this tea here again, too. Yeah, it's not too bad. Tastes like purple. Now I'm going to write that right in there on that coffee ring. Preparing to argue with the fence post. It means you look like you premeditated just a little bit there. You sit in and had a little coffee. All right. Rue with an attitude. True. All right. Last time I argued with fence post, a splinter result. Yeah, keep the board out of your own eye. My husband tries to be funny when he asks if you can make all the colors from red, blue, and yellow. Why are you ordering more paint? You say, because it's the same. Have you looked in your toolbox or your tackle box? Or if you could play golf and the putters and the driver are the most important clubs, why do you need all those other clubs? In fact, I played golf one time with Jeff Foxworthy, and he and I were in the North Georgia Golf Club. And so I said, from now on, Jeff, I'm just taking 2 clubs. That's it. Just throw the rest of mine out right here. I just want a thumper and a tapper. And he got to laughing. And I said, you can use that joke, but you have to send me a check. So I don't think he ever used it. But what about those? So that's a rebuttal on your argument, Kim. I think it's great. All right. And you see that Pat Brooks just caught that. Thank you very much, Pat, because you caught something that's very important, because Pat is good at drawing faces or cartoon characters or little characterizations of things. Chris Whitaker does this really well, too. And also Denise Albright does this really well. She said this. She said, it's amazing what you did. You just tilted the eyebrow a little bit. And that tilt gave me consternation or frustration or anger as opposed to a curvedom. And so without changing anything else on the painting, I wanted you to see like he was going out for an argument. I didn't change the rest of this. I didn't make his eye happy. I made his eye look a little angry. And so how do you get to that point? You just carry around some scrap paper and you draw eyes over and over and over and over and over. And you change the light in the eye. You change how the light strikes the eye. You change the angle of the eyebrow. You learn all of that in a class sometimes if you ever had a class, or you just learn it on your own. And that's how I had to learn it. So, Lord willing, I'll see you Monday morning right back here on this show. And also, Tuesday is a Good News Rue Day for those of you who are on Patreon. Thanks for supporting me on Patreon. It helps. It helps me to sit down and think of what I'm going to process with. I wanted to bring you simplicity today. I wanted to talk to you about chattel and all the stuff piled up on your desk like this. Oh my gosh, it's a stone from Maine. And look at it though. Is it not cool? So I use it over here on the edge of my desk to keep my pens from rolling off. So when I push things to that way, they get caught by this stone. But is that not the coolest stone you've ever seen? And it was just broken like this. I didn't do anything to it. I just picked it up. We also brought our butterstone back, so that's not chattel either. Chattel is the things that are real estate nailed down. Everything else is can go. And I got a few coffee mugs too. Some of you, this is important though. All right, so blessings to you all. Thanks for Patreon. Thanks for buying the books, and you can find me at rudoodles.com. And thanks for sharing my page. I appreciate it. And when you jump in those little auctions, I like starting them low because I love for you to be able to get a hold of it. You know what? To a piece of art to give to someone. It's good for your community. It's good for my community. Okay? It's good for my commerce. So I'm grateful. All right. I'll throw this one out there. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers. Those who are not, well, you had a mother. So if she's still on this planet, send her a note, a card. Just say I love you. If you need Mother's Day to tell you to do that, you're in bigger trouble than being an artist. But it's a good day to celebrate. It's sort of like Valentine's Day. We got to buy chocolate and roses for some reason. It's probably good for the community and the economy. I just said that. All right. So there we go. I'm out of here. Thank you all. Missing my mama. Yeah, I get that, Jacqueline. Mine made a good blackberry cobbler. And that's not all. She was great at life. All right. So be blessed, and I'll see you Monday, Lord willing, right here at this desk. And I'm going to go look at a vehicle. I called him and said, okay, I'm going to come and look at this and see if there's any way that we can meet each other somewhere in what's called a good guy discount. And I always ask for the good guy discount. And they go, excuse me? I say, you don't give a good guy discount? They go, well, what is that? And I go, I'm a good guy. I need a discount. And they go, is that a thing? And I go, you mean you have never, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go to another dealership. If you don't give a good guy discount, well, we'll talk to our manager. So you give a good guy, he goes, how about 10%? I'm better than that. And don't think I won't ask. My boys will send me notes sometimes and say, Dad, I got 15% off on my truck tires. Why? And he goes, I asked for the good guy discount. It's true. I promise. All right. I'm out of here. Ruth Fulton, thanks for being on the show all the way from Ireland. I wish I could play a little Irish jig.